My name is Tali Abramson, and I'm the Director of Residential Property Management with Oliver Macmillan, which means that I oversee the whole residential portfolio. So it's a funny question because it could go in two directions. First of all, with fair housing, we cannot look at a potential resident or a tenant, so we cannot lease to only pretty people or people who drive nice cars, kind of, those, sexual orientation, those type of things. There are big fair housing laws. But, the perfect potential tenant would be someone who pays rent on time, comes back with great credit history, and those are the main things that we look for in a potential resident. Well, so first, anyone who applies needs to be at least 18 years of age. Someone without credit history or rental history, they all need to start somewhere. So we can ask for a cosigner. If someone is without credit history, we normally ask for an extra month's deposit. So to make, if they do skip out on us or, they have no credit history, we would at least have that as a backup for us. Figure out the area that you want to be in. I would probably never lease the first place you see, especially if it's the first time for you. Get a feel for different properties in the area, see the cleanliness of the property. Are there grocery stores close by, or do you need to drive 3 miles to get there? Figure out what your needs are. Also get a feel for the people. 50% of the time people lease because of the people, the staff. How friendly are they, welcoming? That's because if you have a friendly staff and you feel so welcomed, that's probably how the rest of your stay is going to be, great in customer service and relations. If you're being ignored, if you get that funny feeling, for me personally, it's important to get a feel for that as well. So it kind of goes back to the previous question, especially if you're new to an area altogether, especially if you're going to college, cross country, or area you're not familiarized with, ask, where's the nearest grocery store, if you have children, where are the closest schools, libraries, what's important to you. If there are parks, if you have a dog, is there a dog park? If you have a pet, ask, do you accept pets? What are the pet fees? Any pet deposits? Some residents would look for furniture, furnished units. You can ask about that. And then, I would also prepare them if something happens and you need to break your lease early. What are the options? Am I rent responsible through the end of my lease? Are there any termination fees that I can pay to get out? I would ask the process of that. We've got quite a few bad experiences from residents who come to us. We've had residents who rent from, condo owners, and they're paying the rent, they think everything is great, and all of a sudden they receive an eviction notice on their door. So they've been paying the rent, however, the owner of the condo has not been paying the mortgage. So all of a sudden they're being evicted. With a bigger company like us, that would not happen. The rent comes to us. Also, I've heard nightmare stories with maintenance, where plumbing issues. Any plumbing issue, for example, they try to get a hold of the owner, and you don't get a call back for days, for weeks, and it's definitely not as personal. Where here, you just go downstairs, and the office is open 7 days a week. And we also have maintenance on call 24 hours a day. Just the other day, I was at one of the properties, and a guy walks in, frantic, "Oh my gosh, do you have an apartment for me? I need to move in right away." And of course, to build rapport, we ask, what's your situation? What's going on. I drove all the way down here from out of state to move in with this person who I found on Craigslist. I come to move in. He's like, yeah, I'm not. The deal is over. I'm not looking for a roommate anymore. He's like, I have my U-Haul here. I don't know what to do. I need a place. When potential residents come and they shop you for prices and they say, well, you're so much more expensive than this condo owner. Well, just weigh, what could possibly happen, and you'll see that, on many occasions, it'll end up being more expensive for you at the end of the day versus coming here, paying a little more, but you have like a safety net. We do our very best to set expectations up front to the prospective resident and anyone who walks through the door. A very common question is, how's the noise level? And I'm upfront with everyone saying this is apartment living. If you have someone walking in heels or, a heavy walker, you'll probably hear them. So they know what they're getting themselves into. Additionally, we're in urban style living. We're in downtown. So it's definitely going to be louder in general than if you're in the suburbs. You're going to hear the fire trucks and, Friday nights on the gas lamp, you hear people. Even though we have dual pane windows, you're still going to have that kind of noise, and some residents are open to trying it out, or they already know about it. We have some people coming from New York, Chicago, they're already used to that, and some people are not going to be happy, and we have had some. You have that in every apartment community. And you just kind of work through, look, we set your expectations up front at the beginning. You're welcome to vacate. Of course, we try to save them and work with them and do everything we can. However, if it gets to a point where they no longer want to be in the building, then we remind them of their options to, termination fees or find someone to take over your lease, etc.